The fight over Jeffrey Epstein's dark network just exploded as the president forces the Justice Department to turn its sights directly onto the financial and political elite of the Democratic Party. Welcome back to the Deep Dive.
So for months, the whole saga around the Epstein files has felt like this slow drip of information.
Very slow.
But that all changed dramatically after House Democrats released a batch of emails. I mean, they were clearly trying to shift the public narrative.
Right. And what came next was just a stunning, aggressive counterattack from the administration. We're talking about President Trump publicly commanding Attorney General Pam Bondi, the DOJ, and the FBI to investigate Epstein's ties to his political opponents. He even called it the Epstein hoax, involving Democrats, not Republicans.
Mm-hmm.
So our mission today is to really cut through all that political noise and look at the sources. We want to analyze this presidential demand, the immediate compliance from the AG and what these newly public files actually confirm about the deep associations between these powerful Democratic figures and Epstein. But the real deep dive here, the thing you have to watch, is the stunning legal implication of all this.
Oh, absolutely.
Reopening this investigation, it gives the DOJ the legal grounds to just halt the public release of potentially hundreds of gigabytes of remaining case data.
And that procedural move right there, that is the highest stake in this entire drama. I mean, for years, the political establishment has tried to distance itself from Epstein, even when their names were, right there on flight logs and contact lists. This directive, it's not just a political pivot. It's a critical test of institutional independence. And really, it's a powerful tool to control what you, the public, are actually allowed to see. It makes you ask, why did it take this level of, political theater and presidential intervention to force a formal investigation into these specific high-profile relationships?
That is the core question. Okay, so let's unpack the presidential mandate itself. The president, he used his Truth Social platform, and he made the demand absolutely unambiguous.
Yes. This was not a vague suggestion at all. He named specific people, specific institutions that he insists must be investigated.
Who was on that list?
Well, that's the first crucial point. He explicitly called for probes into former President Bill Clinton, former Treasury Secretary Larry Summers, the very influential Democratic donor Reid Hoffman, and the financial giant JPMorgan Chase.
And the political framing of it was instant.
Oh, completely solidified. Trump asserted this was all, and I'm quoting here, another Russia scam with all arrows pointing to the Democrats. He framed the whole thing as a necessary defense against a biased media.
And the Justice Department's compliance was, what, immediate and total?
It was. Attorney General Pam Bondi instantly acceded to the demand. She ordered Manhattan U.S. Attorney Jay Clayton to spearhead the probe, promising urgency and integrity. The speed of that pivot is, well, it's breathtaking.
Especially when you look at the DOJ's previous stance on this.
Indeed. It signals a complete institutional reversal. Think about it. Just last July, an FBI review had concluded that an exhaustive review, their words, did not find evidence that could predicate an investigation against uncharged third parties.
So they went from nothing to see here to a full-blown federal probe.
Exactly. Targeting a former president, former cabinet members, it just shows how dramatically political pressure can shift legal priorities. And remember, this rapid compliance, it's strategic. It carries immediate legal weight for that upcoming House vote on file transparency.
And for anyone who might question the legitimacy of a president ordering the DOJ to go after political opponents, the response was very clear.
Yeah, Trump's response was, I'm the chief law enforcement officer of the country. I'm allowed to do it.
That pretty much removes all doubt about the authority driving this.
It does. But let's zoom in for a second on Reid Hoffman. He's a really primary political target here. He's a major Democratic donor, and you have to remember, he's the one who significantly bankrolled the E. Jean Carroll lawsuit against Trump.
Oh.
And Attorney General Bondi had actually attacked Hoffman before in Senate testimony. She named him as one of Epstein's closest associates. So targeting a major financier who is actively funding legal opposition, well, it sends a powerful signal about the strategic intent of this probe.
It's striking right at the financial foundation of the political opposition.
That's it.
Okay, so let's turn to the evidence that's actually fueling this investigation. We have this massive release of over 20,000 pages of documents, right, largely pushed by Republican efforts. And they give us concrete insight into the depth of these connections. But we have to emphasize, and this is important, the current investigation, it doesn't allege that any of these men, Clinton, Summers, or Hoffman, committed sexual misconduct.
No, not at all.
The probe focuses entirely on the depth and, the nature of their professional and social enabling of a convicted sex offender.
And the material confirms these were not just one-off encounters. I mean, look at former President Bill Clinton. We all knew about his association, but the specific volume here is what's really striking.
Right.
Clinton acknowledged using Epstein's private jet, the Lolita Express, on at least 4 trips. But if you break down the flight logs, that's at least 17 flight segments between 2001 and 2003.
17. That's a lot of travel.
It's an enormous commitment of time. And even if his team insists it was all for humanitarian and foundation-related work, 17 segments on that specific aircraft. It shows an incredible proximity to a predator. And what's more, a book for Epstein's 50th birthday in 2003 listed Clinton under the Friends subheading. He even included a handwritten note.
Okay, and here's where it gets really interesting. Connecting the, financial and intellectual elite. Larry Summers, we're talking former Treasury Secretary, former Harvard president. He ran in the highest circles. And the emails between Summers and Epstein, which go from 2013 to 2019, they depict them acting as confidants. They were sharing these deep, cynical views.
This is a profound window into the worldview of the powerful elite. In a 2017 email, Summers wrote to Epstein, sharing this really harsh opinion about the American elite's hypocrisy.
What did it say?
He says he was trying to figure out why the American elite would think that, and I'm quoting here, "If you murder your baby by beating and abandonment, it must be irrelevant to your admission to Harvard, but hit on a few women 10 years ago and can't work at a network or think tank." And then he adds, "Do not repeat this insight."
Wow, just stop and think about that. He felt comfortable enough to share that kind of darkly cynical observation with a known sex offender.
A known sex offender. And he also reportedly confided in Epstein about his romantic life in 2019. It just confirms that Epstein's role wasn't just social. He was a trusted power broker, advising and being advised by top figures in the Democratic establishment.
So the network is incredibly complex. Okay, moving to Reid Hoffman, the Democratic bankroller. His contact seems more limited, right? Mainly tied to fundraising for MIT.
It was, but he was firmly within that orbit. But the investigation demands specifically included JPMorgan Chase. And that wasn't about personal association. It was about the financial systems that enabled Epstein's entire operation.
The financial gatekeepers.
Exactly. JPMorgan Chase was the bank that serviced Epstein, and they have already been forced to pay massive settlements to victims. We're talking $290 million in a class action lawsuit and another $75 million to the U.S. Virgin Islands.
That money basically confirms their culpability in this.
It does. And so this new DOJ probe forces us to ask, beyond the settlements, who at the highest levels of that financial institution knew what was going on, and why did the bank continue to enable Epstein for so long? That financial trail is crucial.
So we have this newly directed federal investigation. It's clearly politically motivated, and it's targeting prominent Democratic associates whose deep ties are confirmed in public files. This brings us to the huge political and legal stakes here.
And critics are, they're absolutely shouting that this is the definitive politicization of the Justice Department. They're arguing the Attorney General is operating as a direct arm of Trump's political machine.
Just a tool to deflect scrutiny.
That's their view, yes.
But the administration's counter-narrative is equally strong, right?
Yeah.
They're saying this is necessary scrutiny of a protected elite who have, successfully avoided justice for years.
Right. The White House spokeswoman, Caroline Leavitt, she stated that Democrats had selectively leaked emails just to smear the president, and that this new focus is necessary to ensure accountability across the entire political spectrum.
Okay, and now we get to the procedural hammer that just drops.
Yeah.
This is the most critical fact for you, the listener, to grasp.
It really is.
The House is rushing toward a vote to compel the release of all remaining DOJ Epstein files. They want total transparency.
Unfiltered. But the decision to reopen the investigation, that gives the DOJ a powerful legal shield to stop the public release of those very files.
How does that work?
They can just argue that the documents now relate to an ongoing federal investigation, and releasing them would compromise the case. It effectively seals them from public view, possibly indefinitely.
So that is the ultimate political calculation here. The president had previously said he supported the file release.
He did, but he quickly reversed course, blamed the Democrats, and insisted that if files are released, they have to focus on his opponents, like Clinton and Hoffman.
So by reopening the probe, he simultaneously forces the spotlight onto his adversaries and creates a legal justification to lock down the rest of the data.
What did you say, 300 gigabytes of data?
Yeah. So we're left with two major potential outcomes here. Either this investigation finally yield some real legal action against the powerful elite who associate with Epstein.
And forces accountability for figures like Summers and Clinton.
Or this strategic political move successfully halts the full public release of documents under the guise of an ongoing federal probe.
And the records we have, they confirm extensive, deep, long-term associations between Epstein and this elite circle. I mean, 17 private jet trips, exchanges where they act as private confidants. So the core question for you, the listener, remains: is this sudden, focused investigation a weaponized effort to deflect scrutiny, or is it the first real action to ensure the wealthy and politically connected are finally subjected to the same rule of law the public demands?
Yeah.
And it forces us to ask, why has it taken this level of public pressure and political maneuvering to secure a formal investigation into these specific relationships, especially after the FBI had previously cleared them? And now for a final thought. Consider the power dynamics that were revealed in those Summers emails. If Epstein felt comfortable enough to receive advice from a former Treasury Secretary about the American elite's moral standards, how many other high-level political and financial gatekeepers were exchanging favors and confidence with him? What other powerful names might we never see if this investigation successfully locks down the public release of the remaining 300 gigabytes of data that the Justice Department is currently holding?